Hey colleagues, how are you doing? This is John Herrera, President of MuniTemps Municipal Staffing Solutions. I'm a certified public accountant, a municipal consultant, and I serve as a finance director for cities. Still have the privilege of being able to join organizations, mostly city governments and other local agencies that need temporary staffing support. So I come in and I help for 6 to 12 months or longer. I really enjoy working with cities, and so I also like to share with you my experiences and see if this is something that that your agency might benefit from, or you might benefit from. So today's thought that I'm sharing with you is regarding the employees that are quitting today. These are the weirdest times that I've ever worked in. Incidentally, this is the 10-minute version, or as I call it, the 10 peso version. For LinkedIn, they only allow you 10 minutes, so I call it my 10 peso version. I have a longer term version, what I call the 100 peso version, for those of you that stay on this in my YouTube channel, City Speak, the podcast. But getting back to the point about the weird times that we have today in with employees, with the team members that we have in the organizations that we work at. Never before have we seen this kind of fickleness among workers, and how quickly they will take off and leave their jobs for just about any reason. So the title of today's City Speak, the podcast article, is Employees, Don't Quit Your Job. The grass will always be greener on the side that you water the most. And for employers, I say, don't ignore your employees. It is 1,000% more expensive to have to re-recruit and retrain a new employee than it is to just retain and engage with the employee that you already have. Now, employee-employer relationships is a two-way street, isn't it? Both sides have to share in the responsibility to work at this relationship between employees and employer. But nonetheless, all of us who are in leadership positions are finding it very difficult to keep employees engaged, right? So we have to employ different tools and techniques and so forth. But in the end, really what matters the most is that you truly have a love for people, and that you engage with employees beyond just giving them the paycheck and following the job description. The point is that, do you want to lose a good employee? Of course not. If you have a bad employee, well, you're probably praying that they quit, that they go away, right? But the point is, nobody wants to lose a good employee. And no good employee wants to give up his or her job, because they're smart enough to know that the new job will have all the same challenges that the existing job has. So yes, at times it does feel like the grass is greener on the other side, but it's just an illusion. The grass is going to be the same in the other place that you go to, and then when you go there, there'll be another place that has greener pastures or whatever. But truly, the saying about the grass is greener on the side that gets watered the most. So employees, we have a responsibility to make the most out of the places that we work at. And employers, it benefits employers and organizations to work at engaging with employees. Yes, it takes time to engage with employees, but it costs so much more when you lose an employee, especially during this environment where employees will just fly away for any silly reason. There's a lot of very bad attitudes out there, and they're very contagious. Quitting is contagious. And losing employees, is a bad thing for an organization. An employee is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to your company or to your organization. We all know that, right? So what do we do as managers? What should we do as employees? Well, it's all about attitude. You know, if you need a good attitude adjustment and you can't get that adjustment at work, then go see a counselor, go see a therapist, go see your pastor at your church, go see a friend, somebody that'll tell you, give you straight talk about how to get an attitude adjustment. As employers, we need to get our management skills training, not just for us, but for our supervisors, because we can be losing really good employees just because we didn't engage with them, we didn't show them the respect that they need. I was looking up the top reasons why employees quit, and here's the list. Number one, lack of a good paycheck. Believe it or not, people need to be paid a living wage, or they're going to go somewhere else where they can find that. But once an employee achieves a living wage, a competitive wage to live on, that they will stay. And it's not going to be for money that they leave. There's a lack of career advancement, or a lack of a clear path for advancement. Maybe they have a feeling that they're disrespected at work. Maybe they have child care issues. There's not enough flexibility on the job. Maybe they're not able to achieve a good work-life balance. They're burned out. Some people get burned out because they don't manage their energy well, or maybe they have a bad manager who doesn't really care about the employee, just cares about the work getting done. So anyways, the list goes on, but those are probably the most important reasons. But I have an accountant that I suspect she's going to be quitting. She has all the signs that shows that she's going to leave. I mean, we're right in the middle of budget, and she asks for time off. I have this budget calendar that shows what tasks have to be done, but she asked for time off when we're trying to prepare the budget. So that tells me that something's up. So anyways, I hope she doesn't leave. And I've been trying to talk to her and tell her, hey, you know what? There's so many great things going on in this organization. We really need you. We want you. When I inquired about the reasons why she was maybe not as happy at her job, she mentioned things like, she wanted to get her evaluation done. She wanted to get more opportunities at the office, even though the fact is that she doesn't have all the skills. I'm still assessing whether I'm going to extend the probation, because she doesn't have the skills, and she has to work a little harder in the areas that are needed to do a good job. So a lot of us are in the same situation where we have employees that want to join the great quit, or they're doing the quiet quitting or whatever. But I have very straight talk with my employees, and that is that we need you, we want you, I'll work with you, we'll train you, we'll develop you, but we're not going to keep you from pursuing your dreams, whatever those are. But be careful, those of you that are easy to move. I mean, there's today people walk out on their husbands or their wives for very dumb reasons, even for reasons where he doesn't love me enough, she doesn't love me enough, or whatever. So people leave their wives and their husbands. This is the most sacred institution in America that we should be protecting, is marriage and the family. But they walk away from those easily. Of course they're going to walk away from their job. People walk away from loans, from school loans, from obligations, responsibilities where they sign on the dotted line. But that's something to really think about. Get an attitude adjustment. Employers, engage with your employees. And so that's really the main point I wanted to highlight today for employees and employers. The grass is always greener on the side that gets watered the most. All for now for this 10 peso version for LinkedIn. John Herrera with MuniTemps Municipal Staffing Solutions and the City Speak podcast. Thanks for joining me. Stay with me though. Don't go anywhere. Okay? We have another few minutes that we want to spend for those of you that want to stay longer. Thank you. A few more seconds. Hang on. Okay, very good. So going back to talking about the issues that we're having, why don't you share, comment on my either the LinkedIn, on the YouTube channel for Muni Temps and the City Speak the podcast. Share with me your thoughts. You know, what are you doing to cope with this? Let's compare notes, and I think we can help each other out. But really, employees are our most important asset. We've heard that before. Human resources is our most important asset. Yes, people are an asset because they produce revenues for the organization. They produce value. They produce services. And so we have to work hard at taking care of our employees, engage with them. I know it takes time to talk to employees, but you have to do that. And the same thing with employees. You have a responsibility to speak up and talk to your boss. I talked to you about this one accountant. When I first started working with her, I could barely hear her voice when she talked. She was always so shy and quiet, and now she's gotten her voice a little louder, and she's a lot more engaged and is taking a little more responsibility over her career. Don't quit. Employees, don't quit. Make the best out of the jobs where you're at. If you feel unappreciated, then work harder to connect. Do a little bit of networking, a little bit of public relations, PR, whatever you call it. If you work at City Hall, you'll notice that who's usually there at the city manager's office or in HR? It's typically public safety, the police chief, police officers, the fire chief, firemen, firewomen, boy, that's silly. Anyways, the fire personnel, public safety personnel, they're usually the ones that are there with the city manager and HR, and therefore they get most of the benefits. Of course, they're the most important because public safety is the biggest priority for the council and the community. But what about those of you in finance, or those of you in community development, in parks and recreation, public works, library, whatever your department is? Get involved. Go see the city manager. Make time. Show up at the picnic, at the events on the weekends or whatever. You got to do a little bit of PR. Okay, let them know who you are. What are you doing? And unfortunately, that's the way it works. I mean, yes, it's kind of like selling yourself, selling your position, your career ambitions, selling the ambitions of your department. Yes, that's selling, right? And sales, it's a contact sport. You have to make contacts with people so that they know that you're there. So as an employee, you have to assume responsibility for the relationship that you establish with your city, your manager, your boss, the chief executive of the organization. But again, I keep on going back and telling employers as well, they need to make sure they engage with employees, because these employees, they're worth millions of dollars to the organization, and it costs 10 times more. That's 1,000% more to have to, when these employees quit, to have to go and recruit and retrain and re-onboard new employees to teach them the organization's rules and policies and procedures. So don't be quick about just saying, oh, if they want to leave, they can quit. No, we don't want to lose them. Sometimes it's just a very small little thing, a pebble in their shoe, if you will, that causes them to want to move on. But whatever it is, we can't give up. I mean, our organizations, that's why they pay us the big bucks, right? As leaders, as managers, directors, is to help the organizations to maintain a good, solid team for the organization. One of the city managers that I work with, let me lower this thing here a little bit. One of the managers that I work with mentioned to me today, he says, how's the budget going? Because I mean, come July 1, I really want to try to establish a stable staffing plan so that looking out, years into the future, we don't have to worry about losing employees. So, budget for professional development, spend time with the employees, get involved in employee recognition, and it has to be a serious employee recognition that is based on merit, not just But also it's just to say we appreciate you, right? So make time for this. It's important. I talked briefly about the story about an employee that I have right now that I'm probably going to be losing. I can tell that she's out there applying for other jobs, and we'll probably lose her. But I've already tried talking to her, and hopefully it sinks in that she's really important to our organization, and that there's great opportunities for this individual if they work a little harder to train. But yeah, it's communication, and we have to make time. We have to communicate. We have to be patient. Don't lose your patience with some of the employees out there that appear like they're very unreasonable and so forth. We got to work with them. But remind them. Like I have this one accountant that I'm telling you that I'm looking at. I don't want to lose her, but I can lose her. But I tell her, hey, think about it, man. I mean, you're the general ledger accountant. Remember how it felt when you were in charge of the general ledger for your organization, and you couldn't wait for that end of the month when you got that fresh new bank statement, and you open the envelope, the smell of that bank statement, so you can the feeling and you relate it to how you can balance the books, and you were just excited about that, having your books be squeaky clean, always on balance. There's no better feeling. Life doesn't get any better than that for an accountant. It's kind of like the smell of a fresh Wall Street Journal with your morning cup of coffee, right? These are nerdy things. Nonetheless, they're important to remind people, employees, that on the verge of leaving, remind them of the great opportunities in their job. And like I said, this one accountant that I'm working with, I don't want to lose her, but I have a feeling I am going to lose her. And we're going to be okay. I mean, these days we have, there's temporary staffing that, like Muni Temps, for example, steps in and provides temporary staffing. But it's only as a last resort. Muni Temps is if you lose an employee, you call Muni Temps and we provide your temporary employee, especially if they get to compete for the position, right? But nobody wants to lose an employee. Employees are the most valuable asset, and we as employers need to be working harder. You can't just expect that the employees are going to be okay on their own. They need feedback. They need regular feedback. A little pat on the back. Look for opportunities as a boss, as a manager, as a leader. Look for opportunities to congratulate an employee, a team member, for a job well done. There's always opportunities to find a way to compliment an employee sincerely because he did a good job. But you have to be looking for these opportunities. As an employee, then you need to also put forth the effort. A relationship is not just a one-way street. It's a two-way street. Both the employee and the employer both have to work together to build a good relationship. I guess another thing I want to highlight is that we really have so much to be grateful for here in the United States of America. I remind my team members how thankful I am to live in America, where even with all the challenges and all the weird stuff that's going on in our world, we're very grateful that we're not in a situation like some countries, like in Sudan or in some places in other places in Africa or South America, or places where there's civil unrest and so forth. Here in the United States, we've got our issues, we've got our problems, but it's still a country where we should be grateful. I mean, we have a job. And never before has there been this many jobs, where there's like 2 jobs for every person. Now, not all jobs are of interest to you as an employee, but stick with the job you have. I mean, unless there is a total idiot there that you have as a boss that doesn't recognize your value, they will give you an opportunity. But step up, take a risk, go up and meet with the boss. If you're an employee and you're unhappy, make it known. Say, hey, I'm not happy. I feel like I'm in a dead-end job, or I feel like I'm not getting any recognition, or I feel like I'm not getting any respect, or this is becoming a toxic work environment. Whatever you want to say, communicate. If you don't communicate, and you have nobody but yourself to blame, and it's a lose-lose proposition. When an employee quits his or her job, that's lose-lose. It's bad for everybody. It's bad for the employee that has to go somewhere else and start again fresh. And it's also bad for the employer, the organization that has to go and hire a whole new employee. Of course, as an organization, you work hard to build systems, right? Through policies, procedures, forms, flowcharts, videos, and so forth, so that if an employee leaves, that's okay. You pick up, you have a good system for training the new person that comes on board. But it's not about that. It always takes 2 to 3 years to get an employee back up to speed to where the previous employee was at. So don't give up, employees. Those of you that are working, don't quit your job. Don't quit your job. The grass will always be greener on the side you water the most. You employees water the most. And the same is true for employers. Don't ignore your employees. It is 1,000% more expensive to have to go through the process of recruiting and hiring a new employee than it would cost you to spend time to engage, to give attention to your employees. That's your job as a leader, a manager, supervisor. That's what you get paid for. And that's the most satisfaction that you get from engaging with your employees. But again, relationships between employers and employees, we recognize that it's more important than ever. We live in a time where millions of people are quitting their jobs, and a lot of them, I know, they want to become entrepreneurs. I used to have a son 20-something years ago, and I would ask him, hey, what are you going to do with your life? Oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. But good luck with that if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not willing to put in the work for that. But if you're an employee, it's because you don't want to be an entrepreneur. If you're an employee, it's because you don't want to be an independent contractor. You want to work for an organization that'll take care of you, that'll schedule your work, that'll ensure that they pay you the wages, and that they withhold the right amount of taxes from your check. And at the end of the year, when you go file your taxes, everything's cool, right? So you want to be an employee because you don't want to be self-employed. You don't want to be a business owner. You don't want to be an entrepreneur. If you do want to be an entrepreneur, call me, email me, John, John, @munitemps.com, or call me at 866-406-6864. I'd be happy to talk to you and tell you about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. With just 3 minutes of talking to you, I'll tell you whether you're an entrepreneur or you're an employee. Entrepreneur or employee, you can't be both. Once you've been an entrepreneur, you won't make a good employee, at least not for most people. But I mean, if you want to start your own business, more power to you. That's great. I think it's really great for the people who are truly entrepreneurs at heart. Most people are not entrepreneurs. Most people that I've met are actually employees, and they like working for the boss. They like working for an organization that's already established, and they have a full team, and they have a budget and everything. They don't have to go back and restart anything. But so employees, I urge you, keep your job. Don't leave your job. It's a lose-lose a decision for you to quit your job. You hurt yourself, and the organization also gets hurt. Employers continue to look for ways to engage with employees. Send them to training. Invest in your employees. Show them that you care by investing in them. One of my city managers, hi Rick, hi Raul, they actually are putting their money where their mouth is, and they're budgeting for professional development, having municipal organization memberships. In my finance department, we have the memberships for the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the Government Finance Officers Association, the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers, or any other municipal organizations. And the city manager has already given his commitment to ensuring that we have proper money in there for training and development of employees. And that's just part of it. The other part of it is trying to maintain salaries, competitive with the market. Too many organizations out there are responding to the current shortage, which is going to change, by the way. I think there's going to be a total change in the employment market out there. When the economy goes down, you're going to start seeing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of workers looking for a job, and they're going to come to you. They're going to start. It's going to go from being a seller's market to being a buyer's market. Sellers meaning the employees that are selling their services, buyers that are buying these services. But things are going to change. Just look at the housing market. It went from being a seller's market, eventually will become more of a buyer's market because of the change in the economics, the money supply, the interest rates and so forth that are changing everything and creating more uncertainty in the economy. But employees, we value them. Even if they're in abundant supply, we still value them because we're long-term in our focus. We don't want to be just short-term in our focus with employees. We want to have a long-term relationship with them, and hopefully they'll stay a long time. And even if they don't, you want to have a reputation for your organization as being an employer that is a place where everybody wants to go to. You've heard of Zappos and Google and some of these companies that everybody wants to go work there, right? Everybody, right? Meaning a lot of people. Be one of those places that gets the award and be in pursuit of the award of, the top places to work at in your city. And then employees will want to go work there. The same thing with the employees. Those of you that are working, work at developing it, making a good name for yourself. Develop a good reputation so that when you're looking for a job, you will always have a good recommendation that'll follow or precede you, right? But in order to accomplish that, you really want to be long-term focused. Don't take on a job and 6 months later or a year later leave the job and go somewhere better. Sure, there's going to be a lot of people that are willing to hire you, but then look at the the historical trail, the history, the job experience that you have. I can't tell you how many resumes I see, and this person worked here for 6 months, then he went over here and worked for 9 months and went there for a year and a half. The longest place that they ever worked at was maybe 2 years, and that's no good because that shows that you don't ever make a commitment to any place that you work. I suppose if you're really great, maybe it's not that big of a deal. You can just keep hopping from organization to organization. But really, do your best as an employee to establish a good relationship with an employer and establish a track record. And as I said, invest in your organization, invest in your position. Make your place the best place to work. And that's what I always tell my people, including this one accountant that I'm telling you about that is probably going to be quitting in an upcoming City Speak podcast. I'll let you know if this person quit or not. I hope they don't quit. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to explain to them why they're so important to us. So, anyhow, those are the main things that I wanted to highlight. I know I went on and on here talking about the same thing, but if you enjoy it, comment please on my City Speak blog, the podcast. Munitemps.com if you want to see about positions that we're trying to fill, or you have any suggestions for how we can better have a better relationship, how we can provide the temporary staffing needs of your organization, let me know. Okay, but again, my name is John Herrera. I'm the president of Munitemps, Municipal Staffing Solutions, and today's the City Speak the podcast is on helping employees see that the grass is greener on the side that you water most, and employers engage with your employees to keep them, because it's much less expensive to keep a good employee than having to backfill and recruit. All for now. Thanks for being with me today. Bye-bye.